What up, everybody? It's another episode of the Hot Seat Podcast. It's your boy Trees Trims. I'm your host, and today we are in the building with healer, shaman, multi-dimensional conscious being, Shedra's in the building, man. Welcome to the Hot Seat,
What's
my
up,
man.
Thank you very much for having me.
How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing pretty well.
I like to start things with getting a little bit about your background.
Okay.
So, the first question I have for you tonight is, who are you?
Honestly, man, to keep it simple, the first most important thing is I'm a human being. I want everyone to know that, first and foremost. But to get more specific, man, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a Marine Corps veteran, I'm a college student currently, and I'm actually just a person that's trying to enjoy life, most importantly.
Yes, sir. So you answered that so well, man. Sometimes people are thrown off by it.
Yeah.
So it's nice to know that, or nice to see that you know who you are.
Yeah. It took me a while to get here, though.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
It's the journey. I think that's what it's about. So when I went on your page, like I said, I see things like healer, I see shaman, I see multi-dimensional, I see conscious being. Some of those things I understand, and others, I may not totally understand, but I'm definitely curious about.
All right.
Are those titles that you would totally consider yourself, or are those things that people consider you?
Well, to be honest, most of those things are technically, all of them have been things that people have called me or considered me. I guess that's more of a positive way to put it. But it's also something that, through the journey that we just touched on slightly, is those are the things that I've noticed about myself as well, but I've also noticed that it's not just a quality it's in me, it's a quality in everybody else. So it's another thing that's outside the box that kind of plugs me with not just being this, magical being or whatever, that I'm higher than everyone else, just kind of almost leveling with everyone else, saying, I'm this way and so are y'all.
Yeah.
Ain't no difference.
Right. So that's where kind of the conscious part comes in, because that's when you kind of really, that light goes off and you're like, wow, I am this person.
Absolutely.
I am these things. I do have these qualities.
And some of us don't notice it yet. And to be honest, and I say that because I didn't really notice it. I kind of would see it, but I really didn't notice it either. I was just doing things. And by conscious being, just like you're just being conscious of your actions. You're being aware of what you're doing. Because some of us are doing things and we don't even understand why we're doing them. We don't understand what instinct is. We don't understand what to do things compulsively is. We don't understand these things because it's not really taught.
Just happens.
Just happens. So you learn these things naturally just by living life. And sometimes it's easier for others, and sometimes something's a little more difficult for others.
Right.
But me saying it is saying that, okay, I've just now realized really what this is and what I am. And people have been telling me this as I'm saying this is what people have called me, and I just haven't really noticed it.
Right.
So now it's kind of like, damn, I didn't notice it either. So maybe other people need assistance noticing as well too.
Right.
So it's kind of like leveling with everybody.
That's dope, man. That is dope. So multi-dimensional. Talk to me about that. Like, what is that?
Well, it's kind of the same thing. Slightly what I was just saying before is, what they call levels of awareness or levels of enlightenment. I would say those are also correlates with the levels of consciousness and the levels of the different dimensions. So we have 1D. We're only seeing it one dimension away. We have 2D, now we're seeing it, but a little bit different and a little bit better, we'll say. And then 3D is kind of like, whoa, what is this?
It's right here in your face.
And so if you think about it, those are all just higher levels of the same thing. You're seeing the same thing, higher definition, higher senses, higher dimension. And the same thing happens with people. As we kind of go through these levels of seeing the same thing, but seeing it differently, and understanding what it is, understanding what life is, understanding what happiness and what love and kindness is, and things like that. We kind of get a better understanding, and then when we get that better understanding, we kind of level up. So it's not something that only I can do. Everybody else can do that as well.
Right. Talk to me a little bit about mental health, your views on it, whatever you got to say about mental health. Let's talk about that.
Well, mental health, it's I wouldn't say it's difficult to kind of talk about, or because it can be if you get really specific with it, but it's another thing that we have to be on top of. And I don't want to make it sound like it's like a drag, like a chore or something that we're obligated to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more like suggesting that this is also something we need to kind of, consider and take care of and, take into our day-to-day thoughts of like, oh, am I doing this because of this, or am I doing this because of this? Is it going to affect me in a negative way, mentally, physically, spiritually, financially? And if it is, I don't need to do that stuff. So it not only applies to all the other things that we spoke about finances and stuff like that, but it takes care of your mental health. So if something that you're currently engaged in, or you're a part of, or you're dealing with is not working with you that well, then you gotta step out of it, and that's taking care of your mental health.
That can be relationships. Could be a job. That could be a number of things. So that's a great thing. So going into the new year, that'd be a great tip. Evaluate some of the things you have going on in your life, and see how those things affect you mentally.
Yeah, absolutely. It should at least be taken into consideration, man.
Right.
And I think that's the first step. Is once you kind of, and it's another key point of raising your awareness, is once you become aware these things may trigger you to do certain things, or may trigger the compulsions that lead to negative behavior. Anyways, it will at least start to get the ball rolling.
Gotcha.
It just takes one step, man. One step at a time. You ain't gotta make a bunch of different steps at one time. You ain't gotta do it fast. You ain't gotta do it slow. You just do it at your own pace. But as long as you're still taking them steps towards, becoming more aware of mental health and spiritual health and things like that, to me, you're making progress.
Right.
So,
are there some exercises or anything you could recommend to people that are thinking like, hey, I do sometimes struggle with my mental health, and I want to be able to, kind of become aware and conscious of it, and then start doing certain exercises that will help me cope and deal with that or grow out of it. Mm-hmm. Are there anything that you recommend?
So the key one that everyone goes to is going to be meditation, and I'm gonna touch a little bit more on that because meditation is great, but it doesn't have to be the let me go in a dark room and cross my legs and burn incense and listen to these certain megahertz sounds or whatever. Basically, meditation is just doing something that is better than doing nothing. You're doing something, whether it's, I got a garden at my house. Mm-hmm. And I'm a 30-something-year-old man, Marine Corps veteran. Not to say it's kind of stereotypical, but I probably more or less would have a garden, right. Or maybe I don't know. But
if we go back though, that was essential.
Yeah.
If you were a man with a garden, that means you had some type of produce that could feed you and your family. Yeah. Possibly participate in some trades and some bartering situations. So that was a valued thing at that time. Yeah. Outside of hunting and things like that. There's nothing wrong with it.
If you want to paint, or if you want to write, be a writer, it's to do something to get your mind off of. It's really just to get your mind off what's bothering you, because it's all mental, because your mind is on something. So if your mind is on something negative or a negative situation, one, it's not going to make the situation better.
Right.
And two, it's not going to make you feel any better or change anything up here. So you have to get your mind off of that type of stuff by doing something else. Because most of the time it's talk about something like depression's a mental health thing. So if we're just sitting in one spot and not doing anything, it's
easy to focus on the wrong thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But if we engage our minds into doing something, because even something as simple as gardening, you still have to kind of think about what you're doing. Is this the right? Do I prune this one? Oh, do I pick that yet? Oh, let me check all these branches and see if I need to do anything. So you're thinking about all this stuff,
but not the negative stuff.
And then what you start to notice is, just like with gardening, is once you start to do it long enough, then you start to notice that you're creating something, and that you're creating something that's beautiful, and something that can sustain you and it's delicious, or that looks nice. So then you kind of get out of this negativity mindset, because now you just, oh man, I just created this life, so all I can really see is this.
It's rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes we need that, especially if we're not being rewarded in those previously stated negative situations.
Right.
So it's just better reinforcement. Instead of negative reinforcement, it's positive reinforcement.
Got you.
There's got to be a balance.
Yeah. The yin and the yang.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about health and wellness.
Okay.
I'm starting to think that those things kind of correlate a lot, only because you just were saying, hey, an exercise to use would be to just do something that's taking your mind off of whatever it is that's giving you a bother, you know. So would you consider that all wrapped up in health and wellness too? Because sometimes people go out and work out.
Yeah.
Sometimes people go run, different things like that. So let's talk about that and how those two go hand in hand.
So the first thing that we're talking about, the first part of the meditation was more of like an easy type of meditation, and so you can go into something more strenuous, like how you briefly said about running. That's something that I was doing as well too. And you know, I know you personally. We talked about the running,
right.
Like that, and even when I was active duty in the Marine Corps, I fucking hated running. I wasn't even trying to do that.
Right.
Ever. You know? So I got to the point where I only ran there when I needed to run for fitness tests. Right. And I never enjoyed running. And even now, I don't really enjoy running, but I've noticed a difference in what it's done for me mentally, and it's helped me once again take my mind off of things, because it's difficult to focus on something negative that's going in your life, something that's bringing you down, when you're trying to worry about catching your freaking breath running.
Right.
And then still like figure out like what I need to do to stop cramping, what I need to do. I can't breathe.
Where is the nearest water at?
Yeah. And
how am I gonna get home?
Yeah, man. And then not only that, it's another thing that gets you out of the house.
Yeah.
And one thing that we're lacking is just simple vitamin D. Like I think that's what really leads to some of the mental health issues is poor dieting overall, and that could be, you know, dieting is better whatever you're consuming. So you can be reading something that's negative, like all the negative media we may have, and we're not you know, balancing out with positive media. Right. Or if we're eating negative foods, we're eating too much negative foods or too many foods that's reacting with us negatively, and not counterbalancing that with a proper diet. Or maybe we're inside the house or inside the office all the time, and we're not getting outside to breathe fresh air, to have the sun warm our bodies and have that chemical reaction happen inside of us. That's a natural thing. But you know, so that I think all that leads to the physical wellness, physical health, and mental wellness. I think it all kind of makes one funky little spider web where all the strings are connected.
Right.
And so running has been a big part for me. Yoga and Pilates, which is absurd, because when I was growing up,
you did it?
I do it every day.
Oh, for real?
Every day I watch videos on YouTube, and I think I have on my personal Instagram page, I have videos of me like after a run that I'll post, and I'm like doing yoga on my videos so people can see me. And after running 4 miles or so. So I do it every day.
Around the lake?
Yeah, around the lake.
Yeah.
It's 2 miles around the lake.
Yeah, man, everybody don't know, man. Me and Cedric, man, I call him T, by the way. But yeah, man, we live in the same community, man. So, you know, one of the things that going into the new year I want to incorporate was trying to get some of those runs around that lake too, man. It rained and it got a little cold, but there's no excuses. I gotta get out there with you and try this out.
But there's older people, older men, older women. I've seen women with the children. I've seen people that's on house arrest because with the ankle braces walking.
Right.
Bro, you gotta get outside, man. You gotta get out there and get the exercise. Even if you're just walking or biking or skateboarding, just get outside and do some activities. And every one of those things is gonna help you get your mind right.
Right.
And it's a natural way. It's not through consuming, alcohol, and that's another leader to, poor mental health is the consumption of like these certain substances that just don't really fuck with our mind too much.
Yeah, they're not beneficial. They're suppressors.
Well, no, it is, but it's moderation. Like everything, it's moderation, man. Like to say that I don't drink anymore is absurd. Like of course I do. Right. Say I don't do anything anymore. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, moderation, man.
I'm just having a sip.
And I'm saying this because once again, through experience, when I was in the Marine Corps, that's what we did every day. We drank my ass off every day, man. And a lot of my poor decisions were based on alcohol, influence decisions.
Oh yeah.
All the bad ones. Everyone I know I can think of is because of that.
Yeah, but you didn't get drunk and then come up with a good idea.
Never did. But stuff like that, and I learned in the Marine Corps that an excess of that, because at the end of the day, especially hard alcohol, and that's why I don't really fuck hard at all no more. I'll drink some beers every now and then, but when I was in the classes and they said hard alcohol, it's essentially a solvent, And so over time, it starts to degrade things inside of your body. And that's why people have like throat problems, is because it's degraded their senses in their throat, so they have throat issues. So one of the biggest things is it also deals with your neurological, so all your nervous system, it starts to degrade that as well too. And that's one of the things that they talked about in those classes. And all this whole wellness thing is about about, like I said, a balance of neurons and messages. So your dopamine and your serotonin and your cortisol, all those neurological messages, you need a balance of that. It needs to be able to get where it needs to get in your body from your brain and everything like that. And if these nervous system is degraded in any kind of way, it affects you negatively.
Right.
So alcohol, especially hard alcohol, as mentioned earlier, it influences that as well too. So it all goes back to the dieting thing too. Whatever you're poorly eating, you have to balance it off. Either stop doing it completely or tone it down. Like I had to do. Yeah, well, I had to tone down weight a lot. Even when I got out of the Marine Corps, I was drinking every day like I was in the Marine Corps. And it wasn't doing. I was spending money that I didn't need to spend, so that created a financial strain, which caused a stress strain, caused a strain on my family, and so it's not beneficial. So you just had to kind of like, I'm done with this. I got alcohol in my house right now. That's been there for like 3 years. I ain't never touched, bro. Like, just if people want to come over and drink it,
right. I'm about to come over to your house then. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah, but it's all the same thing. It's all, you got diet and wellness and so you got to get a balance. You got to get outside. You got to do certain things that kind of eating healthy is another one too. I had to change my diet. I juice now.
Okay.
So and these are all things. Yoga, Pilates, juicing. I used to talk trash about that stuff. I'd be like, only middle-aged housewives do that kind of bullshit.
Right.
That was my Marine Corps mental mind, you know. And I started doing it. I'm like, man, first of all, this stuff's tough.
This is actually hard and it's beneficial.
Yeah, and I started to look real good. I started doing juicing. I started to not have some of the medical problems I was having before. That the doctor was like, we don't know how to treat you because we don't know.
Right.
And then some of the stuff started dissipating and fade away. So now I'm just gonna stick with it. I'm gonna continue.
Because they're not gonna tell you, oh man, just eat a little better and work out a little bit.
Yeah.
Because then the pharmaceutical companies would be down the drain.
Yeah.
So, man. Okay, so I'm checking out the tea.
Yeah.
And I see your ad on there, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and shout it out. M.O.B.
Yeah.
Mushrooms on the brain. Okay. And then, you know what? Let me grab one of these things, man.
Oh yeah.
Let me grab one of these things because on the back of it, you see what it reads, right? I'm really feeling this. So talk to me about this because it says make happier humans.
Yeah. So the tea, the full thing says psilocybin mushrooms make happier humans. Right?
Yeah, I couldn't pronounce all of that.
Yeah,
so I was like, let me save myself trouble.
Yeah.
This is looking like I'm about to call it psychology mushrooms. Yeah. Nah, let me just stop.
Well, I guess they're mushrooms that mess with your psyche.
What's the whole thing?
Yeah, so psilocybin mushrooms make happier humans.
Okay.
Okay. I thought it was I didn't come up with it, but it was a quirky thing that I heard one day. Just make a quick story. I was watching, not to be a fanboy, but I was watching the Joe Rogan podcast.
I'm a fanboy, Joe Rogan.
Not to be a fanboy, but I'm a fanboy.
Hey, right. No, absolutely, man.
But I don't remember who exactly he had the guest on, but they were talking about psychedelics and they were talking about psilocybin mushrooms, and they were talking about how it affects the mental health of people and how it kind of just makes happier people. Okay. And I think Rogan had made a statement that said something along the lines of, psilocybin mushrooms make happier humans. So I heard that, and then directly after that, I believe he was like, someone should put that on a t-shirt. And I happened to be listening to that, so I was like, put it on a fucking t-shirt.
Hey, man. Proactive.
Yeah.
So,
shout out to Rogan for the
inspiration and the idea. And like you said, somebody should do it.
That's what he said.
And my man T did that, man. These are some fly tees, man.
And then the image on there was an image. Once again, I didn't create a pretty cool guy out of the desert palm area.
Okay. That's who designed it?
That's who designed it. But I told him, I was like, I want to have a name that kind of reflects on how the mushrooms affect your brain and your nervous system.
Mm.
And he was like, I was like, so I'm saying I wanted my name to be Mushrooms on the Brain. But I think that was taken, and I wanted something that kind of rolled off the tongue.
Right.
Onda, and my, my wife's family is Hispanic, so it was a funny play on words to do that.
Right.
And then the old thing of M.O.B, you know, was just another.
The mob.
Yeah, the mob.
Like, yeah, that's.
So it just shows the simple of how mushrooms are on your mind, and the whole page of the Instagram page is to also show people that you know I had mushrooms on my mind, and you know these are the kind of things that I'm thinking about while these mushrooms are on my brain.
Which is insane, because if you do go to his page, which you absolutely should, mushrooms on the brain, man, he's definitely pumping a lot of positivity for one into the universe. But yeah, if you see the type of content he's providing on his page, it's kind of refreshing, honestly, because you see a lot of things you gotta sift through to get to the genuine content, things that will help you essentially, you know. So shout out to your page, man.
And I do it just because, bro, once again, to level to everybody, like I'm no different from anybody else. I'm not this special super person, and I say that because I'm not special. Everyone else is too. If that makes me special and everybody else special, we all the same.
No, we all special. That's what it is. We are.
Either we all are, or we all ain't.
Yeah, we all are. I'm going. We all are.
Yeah, I'm gonna say we all are too.
Yeah.
But some of us don't recognize it. Some of us just don't see it. They don't see what other people see in the mirror, or you know what other people see when they look at you.
When they look at you, right?
Yeah, they don't see that stuff when they look in the mirror, and sometimes they need a reminder. And because I needed a reminder, a reminder how, you know, I have a happy life. I don't have to think about these negative things that were going on 5 years ago, 10 years ago. All these things I regret or wish I did differently. Look at my life right now, and I'm like, I have everything that I want. I'm satisfied. I'm happy. I'm, you know, stable, content, peaceful. And it took me a while to realize this and understand it, and that I had everything right in front of me that I needed. But I was looking outwards for things that weren't feeling
important.
They weren't important, and messages similar to the ones that I post are what I saw that were just one more thing that kind of was like, man, life's beautiful, life's amazing, life's great. This is a gift that I have right now. To be even here breathing is a miraculous, wonderful gift.
Right.
So it's just to help people out, and I have so much feedback that comes back as saying either in comments or likes or, you know, messages that's saying, I need to see this today. You know, that's powerful. You know, keep posting this stuff.
Right.
You know, no one has ever been like that. You need to stop posting this bullshit.
Right. See.
So, I mean, maybe I'm doing something right.
And they do that to other people too.
Yeah. And like, I have people in there try to like, I wouldn't say criticize, but they try to like, they didn't say this. So didn't say this.
Yo, those are trolls.
Yeah, they're trolling. So I have a couple reactions. It's kind of like, okay.
Well, tell me who did.
Yeah. Who said it?
Tell me who said it.
Who said it?
Right, because I'm open to learn.
Yeah, I'm human just like you are, bro.
Right.
I make mistakes and nothing wrong with it. And so, you know, my other reaction is kind of like I'll be like, here's a link where they did say this, and it's documented. So,
right.
And that's usually how it goes. But the other people's kind of like, well, show me who said it then. If I'm wrong, tell me. I'm open to learn.
Right, because from what I know, I'm pretty much right.
I wouldn't post it if it's wrong.
Exactly. Like that makes it just
another conscious
makes
being,
things,
man.
Questionable. And that's another thing, man. All the woke people and all of that, the conscious, stop trying to, man, you discourage people from trying to get with the program.
Yeah.
The minute they out there and trying to express themselves in any form to let you know that they're opening up or at least half woke, they get shot down by things like that on social media.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, do I really want to get with the woke people if they acting like that? I would think it would be warm and welcoming.
A lot of people are doing it, at least from my perspective. I may be wrong, but from the way I see it is, a lot of people are doing it just for publicity, for attention, for
overnight activists,
yeah.
Overnight this, and yeah.
And everything that I'm posting on here is stuff that I legit saw. Or legit, I was like, I you know, this speaks to me. Like none of the content's original. I never said it was original.
No.
But if it's a quote by someone, I'll at least mention that in there. I'll hashtag it or I mention it. You know.
Yeah.
And I never on there on my bio to say original content.
Right.
Because first of all, nothing original mine. Ain't
Nothing's original,
Yeah, so,
especially on social media.
Yeah, so I'm not claiming anything, you know.
Yeah, not at all. But I do love the content that's on there, and it's like, I mean, like you said, you do give credit where credit is due, and if you feel like someone has something great, a great perspective, to bring to light, then why wouldn't you share it?
But that's why I think a true leader is. What I think a true teacher is, and that's why I don't really give it the fake woke people, is because a lot of them are charging for some of the shit that they're doing. Even these shamans and these gurus or whatever they're charging, or these people that are like, oh, I can help you do this, but pay me $100 for this session. It's kind of like, no, man. If this is, first of all, it took me a lot of time to get where I'm at now. Like, you know, positive mentally and in just a good space in general. And it also took me effort and hard work. And they're trying to sell you something thinking that you're going to get it, and then you're going to give them their money or your money.
And you're going to expect that result.
And you're not going to get it. So now you're not going to get the result and you're going to be out some money. So that's not...
And you probably stop believing at that point.
So how is that beneficial to you?
Nice.
So everything that I give, I'm giving away for free. A lot of my shirts I give away for free, man. Like,
right. Yeah, you blessed the whole team, so we all got tees tonight, man. I already had bought one from you before, but this is the upgraded one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With the head on the front, with mushrooms on the brain. So that's the app, people. Follow.
Yeah.
He's got some incredible content on there, man.
And even the people that's paid, they've been like, no, we're paying for this stuff. Because I'll give them away here.
Yeah, because you know what? The thing is, in order to keep anything going, it has to have some type of money behind it.
Yeah. Even
with the Hot Seat podcast, you know, we're all putting this together. We're not getting paid from YouTube, or nobody's doing it. Nobody's paying for us to meet every week. We gotta eat every week. We gotta have equipment to make the show better, the quality better. It's time, you know, and that's why we have our t-shirts. Honestly, that's our funding.
Yeah.
So everybody that bought a shirt, shout out to you. I greatly appreciate it, man. And go ahead and get one of these shirts from my boy as well. You know what I mean? Because like I said, it's a good quality shirt. I love the print, and it's something different with a great message. So, with that being said, considering we're talking about Rogan, he's pro mushrooms for sure. I've heard him talk about those, and in not such a recreational way either. It's more of a way that I wasn't educated on, and it was more of an educational way. The first time I heard somebody not just talking about it like it was a good time at a party. It was more like something that was mind-altering and life-altering. Yeah. You know, something that you could do responsibly and gain certain benefits from. Mm-hmm. So that brings me to like microdosing. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Want to just talk a little bit about that. Honestly, I was watching a podcast earlier, and one of the dudes was like, I take Lionsgate before every show. Yeah. Or whatever. Yeah. And so I'm thinking you'd be a little bit more educated on like what are those benefits that he's getting from that, or how does an actual microdose work with mushrooms, and how would we use those responsibly, potentially, if that was something that we wanted to do? Yeah, well, first and foremost, mushrooms in general, it's really good to just do your research on different mushrooms, because there's some mushrooms that will kill you, like literally. You'll eat them and you die. Yeah. Fungus. Yeah. They're just simply poisonous. But there's also, gourmet mushrooms like the ones you can buy at your store, the criminies or the buttons or the shiitakes or portobellos or whatever. Right. And then there's also some edible medicinal ones, and then there's also psychedelic ones as well too. But they're all different. They all do different things. They all, they're all unique, just like we are. Right. And so you spoke of lion's mane earlier, and lion's mane, cordyceps, reishi. There's a few different other ones. Those are the medicinal edible ones. And like I take lion's mane and red reishi powdered mushrooms every night in my tea, because I don't drink coffee. Except if my wife's like, iced coffee? And I'm like, yeah. Why though? I'm the same way. I'm like, cool on the hot coffee, but let me get some of that iced coffee. Yeah. A little whipped cream on it too. Little drizzle.
She got one of them little
yeah.
little milk frothers and shit.
Oh
yeah, man.
She's a barista.
Yeah. She hooks it up in the casa.
I can dig it. That's dope.
But every night I drink a hot tea, and I use red reishi and lion's mane at night. And then in the morning, now since I've been in school and I'm waking up a little bit earlier, I'm drinking a tea with cordyceps mushrooms in it. Mm-hmm. So the lion's mane and the red reishi are really good for, I think it's good for inflammation, it's good for a lot of positive things within your body. I think it believes it helps with, lion's mane helps with like memory loss, and it just helps with your overall function. That's what they say. I mean,
right.
If it does, it does. If it don't, it don't. I don't know. But I take it every day, and
right.
I'm gonna keep taking it. And then cordyceps. So cordyceps is a funny mushroom because it comes out and they call them Cheetos because they look like, when they come out the ground, they look like little orange Cheetos. And I take those in the morning because it feels like you got to do something. You almost feel like you got like creepy crawlies in you, so you just got to get up and do something. So it's like a
natural pre-workout.
A natural pre-workout, yeah, or a natural shot of coffee or
right.
espresso. It just gives you almost like an urge to go do something, you know.
That's dope.
So it kind of gets me going in the morning without drinking coffee first thing in the morning, and then like having like a caffeine dump and I'm crashing at the end of the day or like midway through the day. So just like healthier options. And then a lot of people will microdose with those ones, but now people are kind of starting to kind of come into the psychedelic microdosing, which is also beneficial as well too.
Okay.
Psychedelics as a whole is, I would say, pretty beneficial. It's been around since the beginning of man. I guess a recorded history.
Right.
So goes naturally. There's got to be something about it that's supposed. If it's here, it's supposed to be here. I would take it as that. Mm-hmm. So it's got to be something, a reason for it to be here. So I've consumed here and there.
Right.
I've microdosed, I've macrodosed, and just to get a bare clarification is macrodosing is taking a large quantity, and then microdosing is taking a very small quantity, which would be similar to a fifth of a gram.
Okay. So a lot of people, when they're going and they're doing it recreationally, they're going to take a macro dose. Then.
Yeah, typically you'll take.
And that's going to be
1 to. I know. There's a guy that I know that says he takes 14 grams every time, which I think is a bit absurd, and
14 grams of anything is too much.
At one time,
I've never heard of that.
Yeah,
that's intense. So we're definitely not recommending that for anyone.
No. I take it from personal experience. I've macrodosed a decent amount of times, and it's not for everybody to do. I'm telling you that right now. It's not for everybody to do. Because it's very powerful and it's very overwhelming, and it's not to talk trash about nobody or say that you can't do this. I'm just recommending for people that get overwhelmed easily. I don't recommend it. Right. That's why a lot of people will go towards the microdosing, because they're just little subtle changes that will make impactful reactions later on.
Okay, so when you're thinking about microdosing, it's less of the psychedelics and more of the benefits in the body, and not only that, but mentally. Yeah.
So when you're microdosing, unless you're just hypersensitive, which that may just be a mental thing anyways. I don't know, and that's not to shield anybody that may be hypersensitive to things. But when you take a microdose, you more than likely, and I say more like, you're probably not going to experience any kind of perception change. That's the whole point of the microdose.
Right.
You're ingesting the plant medicine and you're not being affected by the effects, the mind altering effects, but you're being affected by the positive medicinal effects.
Yes. So when we think of microdosing, even if it does sound strange, because we're talking about mushrooms, a lot of people are like, mushroom?
Yeah.
I'm not doing even a little bit of those.
No, there's a lot of people like that.
There's a lot of people on the other end that are doing a small amount and reaping great benefits from it.
Yeah. It's taking baby steps. And the same thing I say, it's one step at a time, taking baby steps. People that macrodose, they're sprinting, they're running. Not, like I said, not everyone can sprint and run fast for a long time.
Right.
But everybody, for the most part, can walk one step at a time. So that's the same thing with the microdosing. You're taking one small step at a time to eventually get to where you want to be at, where you desire to be at, where you dream to be at.
Got it.
And it's not really that strenuous.
Right.
Not at all, really.
Nice. Okay, give us a little history. What do you know about the history of psychedelics? Because you said like they've been around for a long time.
Been around forever.
I mean, a lot of us hear about some of our favorite musicians or
Jimi
entertainers.
Hendrix, Kevin Gates talks about them.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
A lot of rock stars talk about them. You know, there's a lot of different musical artists or painters or people that are in any kind of artistry, for the most part, that are very open about psychedelics in their art, in their music, in anything. And so it's culturally available, but maybe not culturally approved, you know, as a human culture. And you know, you can say it's for whatever reason. You could tie it to the same thing as cannabis, how it was, you know, ostracized and how it was demeaned and looked down upon, and you know, essentially taken out possession of the ability for people to possess and use it for a long period of time, criminalized even.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
It's the same thing with mushrooms, man. And like I said, it's something that's natural here. It's been around for, I would say, since from what we know, the beginning of, you know, recorded human history. All of the medicine men and the healers and the shamans in our tribes, before we became these, you know, huge cities and metropolises, all these little tribes had their medicine men, and they used them. That's recorded as well too. There's a story about, not a story, but like a piece of history, how people in tribes, when they came back from war, they would go and live with the medicine men for like up to 3 months. Because war sucks, man, and I'm taking it from a combat veteran that was deployed. The war is not great.
And it's not just physically; it's mentally.
It drains you mentally. You're away from your family. You don't know if you're gonna be alive in the next
day to day or hour to hour, right?
And you just don't. So that, bro, if you know that you're about to die, or you have a higher risk of dying, and that's not only out there, that's in our city streets as well too. But if you have a higher risk of dying being somewhere, it changes your mental state. And so how do you get that back? One of the ways you get that back is you need to be removed from that environment. That's what the shamans would do, and they remove from the environment.
Wow.
They wouldn't really allow the rest of the tribe. You were stuck with the medicine man doing whatever he wanted you to do, because you need to separate from that war area, but you don't need to bring that back. So you need time to almost decompress.
Wow.
And some of the people that had it harder or didn't take it as well, or they had just some, you know, lasting trauma from that, they would have to use different plant medicines to kind of snap them out of it. Like, bro, you need to wake your ass up.
Do you think that's some of the issues we have with some? I mean, because a lot of people suffer with PTSD or certain things following their service in the military.
Yeah.
Right? Now, they have started clearing like cannabis medicinally. But is that something you think they should be definitely working harder on? Because that was something that they exercised back in the day.
Yeah.
They're not breaking people out of war and pulling them to the medicine man now. They're giving them man-made pills and different things like that. Yeah. So do you think that's something that, you know, going forward in the future, we should be going and resorting back to?
Not even the future. Not even the future.
Like now.
Start doing it right now.
Right.
Start working on it. I mean, we are already working on it now, but we need to actually get it going now. But the problem is, same thing, we're here. So we know how cannabis went here in this state, and they, at least from my perspective, they waited until they were able to make money off of it. And I mean the state government. And then they were like, oh yeah, let's we're good to go with that. So that's what I think is going to happen, or that's kind of what it's looking like here. If they go the whole route of statewide, and eventually to the federal level, if it ever gets there, is how can we profit off of this stuff? And that's the wrong way to look about it, because that reverts back to these fake woke people. It's kind of like, how can we profit off of people's, you know, stress and trauma, and you know, we don't really care about them, but how can we profit and still give them the help that they need? And it's not helping anybody. So the legalization part, I don't want to be legalized, because I believe it'll just become a commodity like that, like cannabis is now. But I do wish that the decriminalization, because it would make the possession and the consumption not a criminal offense. That way people feel more comfortable.
And it raises more awareness and making it more acceptable, just like cannabis is nowadays.
But I honestly don't think they'd be able to make it into a commodity. They won't let you. The mushrooms themselves won't let you do it, bro.
No?
No, they won't let you do it.
Right.
And I really believe, I'm talking like that, like they are an entity, because they are. If anybody's ever taken mushrooms on a micro dose or a macro dose, you start to respect it, you start to get an understanding. Even like now, I was a big I would overly excessively drink alcohol. I would excessively smoke cannabis when I was in the industry. And that's how me and you know each other from the shops, right?
Right.
So I would excessively, consume products, and I did that with mushrooms, and now I'm like, no, I'm not eating them anymore. I don't need to.
Right.
So the mushrooms won't even allow you to kind of take it that far.
Wow. That's powerful, man. That's powerful. So again, man, we're not here promoting or demoting mushrooms. We do recommend you use them responsibly if you decide to. A micro dosing fashion.
Absolutely.
I think it goes back to what we were saying earlier, moderation. Doing things in moderation is always the best choice.
Too much of a good thing is a bad thing, as the old saying goes, man.
Yeah. Okay, so talk to me about universal of polarity.
Yeah.
Like that right there just sounds, and maybe I'm just slow, but I mean that sounds pretty deep. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay, yeah. So universal polarity is one of the 12 universal laws, right? And these universal laws are I think they're also considered natural laws, and they are laws that were identified just through observation. That these laws affect nature and the universe as a whole.
Okay.
So that way, it's not like, oh, it only affects Venus, it don't affect Earth, or no, it affects half the northern hemisphere of Earth, but not, it affects. These are laws that are constant throughout the whole universe, right?
Got it.
So one of the big ones is the universal law of polarity. And if you don't know, there's also mutable laws, and polarity is a mutable law, meaning that we as a conscious being or conscious beings, we have the ability to not apply that if it benefits us, basically. So there's a few of those in there as well too. But the law of polarity in general is it's like our polar poles. We have a north pole and a south pole. Okay. At one extreme end of the left side or the top side, and one extreme side of the other side. But it encompasses the same thing. So another really to the point example would be hot and cold is the same thing as temperature. Mm-hmm. But in order to explain what temperature it is, you gotta say it was hot
or it was cold.
Yeah.
Right.
If you go left or you go right, you're still going forward. But how do you define the direction that you're going, other than just going forward, like generally where you're at?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but it's that's why I say polar opposites. Polar opposites of what? Of the same thing. The polar opposites of a magnet, but they're polar opposites.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just two different names for the same thing, and it applies everywhere. Whether there's good.
Yeah. Now that you explained it to me, I'm like, yo, that's everything.
Everything. There's good. There's bad. There's up. There's down.
There's man. There's woman.
Yeah, man. But it's all different things of the same thing.
Right.
So that's why it goes back to we're all the same thing. Humans. At the end of the day, we're humans. We're life. We're sources of life. If you want to get more down to it, we're the 5 elements: carbon, oxygen, or carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, whatever the 5 things that we all
whatever
are.
those was. Yeah. Is that science class?
Yeah. That's all the particles in space. The most known particles in space. That's what we are too. So
true.
It's all different definitions for the same thing.
Better, and that's why we're all. Whoa, man! That goes back to like energy and everything, vibrations and all of that. That makes sense.
Yeah. Even the thing about better or worse, like how someone, this person's better than that person. How are you as a person better than that person? You guys are both persons, people. Same thing.
Right.
You may have better qualities or certain things that you do better than that other person, and that's vice versa. There's also things that person may do better than you as well. It doesn't make you better than him or him better than you.
Right.
You guys, it's literally how equal we all are. We both have very good things about us and very bad things. We both have, very good situations and good memories, and we both have bad situations and bad memories. We're all literally the same. Wow. And to say that that's wrong or to have a difference of opinion on that, I think that contributes to a lot of the division and divisive measures we see present in everyday life, you know. So it's a universal law of polarity that affects everything. There's nothing that it doesn't affect. But once again, you can remove that law and say, you can make it simple. Back to the hot and cold. What is it? It's temperature. 68 degrees. Whatever. Right. You can be very, very specific. And it's not hot or cold. Some people think 68 degrees is wonderful weather. And some people think it's hot.
You see it all the time.
Yeah, man.
You out there with a jacket on. This dude, he walking up the street with shorts and flip-flops. You like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that makes sense, man. So what's next for the M.O.B, man? What's next for my boy T? I mean, you these titles are incredible, man, and like I feel like moving forward, we're gonna see a little bit more work from shamans and healers and natural remedies for some of the things that we go through, and it's gonna kind of resort back to some of the more traditional ways of coping, and not just coping, but healing and getting through things. So what's next for you as far as helping push that culture forward, man? I know you're working on it.
Well, I mean, I can really just continue to do what I'm doing on the page. That's most importantly. And to kind of touch on what you were saying about you're going to start seeing more shamans. We are. There's going to be more healers because what I'm doing when you look at me as a healer, I didn't heal nobody except for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then what I'm doing is giving out free game, free knowledge, free gems to people so that they can teach themselves how to heal themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And that's why you're going to see more of it, because I'm going to continue to be consistent with the page and continue to pump out positivity to the universe so that everybody can see it. Even the people that don't want to see it, they're still going to see it.
Mm-hmm.
I have the merch available. We're going to start probably doing shirts, more shirts with different designs.
I'm thinking about a dope hoodie design.
Yeah,
it's getting a little cold. Maybe do some hoodies, man. You know what I'm saying?
I want to get some nice hats with just the imagery on it would be dope.
Yeah.
Or maybe the imagery and M.O.B. on the bottom. I'm still kind of working with different ideas.
I'll send you to my boy too. I got an embroidery boy.
Yeah.
Embroidery dude. His name. Shout out Mine Embroidery. He's local.
Okay, dope. Yeah.
And great prices, local, man. Though. You know, so I try to support my people. Hispanic brother, older gentleman, but he's killing it, man. He getting me right, so I'll send you his way, man.
Yeah, definitely let me know. I'm interested.
So we can get. So I'm getting the first one though. When we design that, the hat. I even want my hoodie to have the embroidery hit on the front. This is the small one, and then the big print like this on the back of the hoodie. Yeah. And I'm thinking gray, you know what I'm saying? I
want to mess with different colors. I see your shirts is white, and I was like, damn, that looks nice.
But you know, black shirts last a lot longer. Depending on your design too, you can't do it. Like that shirt can't go on I can't do that print on a black shirt. Unless I change some, I got to change some things. Yeah. So like that just, breaks down. But this one hits hard. That purple. Yeah, man. Tap in with my boy. That's super dope. Okay. All right. This brings us to the intermission phase of the show. Something that we just started incorporating, man. I see some shows do halftime. Some shows just run extra long, and my ADD kicks in. I got about 30 minutes, so you know what I mean. I trying to keep the show short and sweet. Trying to keep the show short and sweet. With that being said, today's show is powered by mushrooms on the brain, man. So, again, we've been speaking with my man T. So he's gonna tell you a little bit about mushrooms on the brain and how to keep in contact with them. Check that out.
All right, so Mushrooms on the Brain is just an Instagram page. You can check it out by looking up mushrooms_onda, ONDA_brain. And right there, you can contact me through Instagram. You can message me. You can call me on Instagram. I guess you can do that now.
Weird.
I guess if you need to, just to hear a friendly voice. Comment, you can reach me through there, and I know that you're there. I know even if you're just liking a page or liking one of the posts, I know that you're there. And if you comment, you can look at my comments. I pretty much respond to everybody that's on there with another additional comment to reaffirm them or to be on board with them, or even if it's just like a hand blessing, but I'll respond to you. I'll respond to the DMs. I got nothing else other than taking care to kids in the house.
The home front.
Yeah. I got nothing better to do.
Living that retired life.
Hey, that's nice.
You put in your work, man.
Yeah.
You put in your work. That's dope. All right, so now what we want to do, man, is which is so important, man, and I want to thank everybody for watching this episode, for subscribing to our page, for liking, sharing. But we're gonna shout out 3 of our newest subscribers right now. First, we shouting out Juicy Bundle. Juicy Bundle. Okay, shout out to you, Juicy Bundle. Thanks for following the Hot Seat Podcast. Really appreciate you. That's a pretty interesting name. I'm assuming it's a girl. So shout out to you, Juicy Bundle. Next one, we got Trevor Woodruff. Trevor, big ups to you, my man. I honestly think this might be my client. And if so, he's going to be a potential guest on the show. Not potential, but actually we already talked. So he's going to be coming on the show too. Dope entrepreneur. So shout out to you, Trevor. I think that's you. And if not, sorry, bro. Woodruff. Shout out to you anyway. Thank you for subscribing. And then the last one is Prophet Alpha the Nerdiac, which is a crazy name. I feel like you might be dropping a mixtape or something real soon or something. But shout out to Prophet Alpha the Nerdiac. Those are our 3 latest subscribers, man. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so, man. Smash that subscribe button, man. Give us a like, make a comment. If it's positive, if it's negative, if you like something, you don't like something, just tell us, man. We're growing. This is our first season, and we're open to constructive criticism. Not only that, but any help. If you got any help for us, guys, we'll take it. If you know this don't look good, well, help us, okay? Thank you very much. And shout out to our 3 latest subscribers. Again, Juicy Bundles, Trevor Woodruff, and Prophet Alpha the Nerdiac. Shout out to y'all for following, man, and I hope y'all keep on enjoying the show. With that being said, we're moving into the next segment, which is the wrap-up. So today, I had the pleasure of speaking with Shedra. My man, I never called him that in my life. I keep on getting scared every time I go to say it, because I call him T. He's with M.O.B, Mushrooms on the Brain, and he's doing some very great things in the health and wellness space, in the mental health space, in the healer and shaman space. So let's get conscious. We want to be conscious beings going into 2022.
Yeah.
We want to be aware of our surroundings, aware of our behavior, aware of why we're feeling how we're feeling, and how we can make those things better. So we talked about getting out there, not only meditation, sitting in a room and in the dark with the incense, but get out there and get some activity. Hit the streets, ride your bike, run to the lake, do something, paint, get active. We also talked about microdosing, which is a responsible alternative with using mushrooms. We talked about a little bit of everything, man. You watched the show, so I hope you enjoyed it. And with that being said, I want to make sure that my guests know exactly how to stay in touch with you, man. Like I said, you live in my community. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I see you riding out the neighborhood, so yeah. I see you all the time. But how can our guests stay in contact with you so that they can get some of these positive messages and content that you're providing?
Yeah, so just directly to the page. They can contact me through the direct messages, or like I said earlier, I guess if you want to call me through Instagram, go ahead. Yeah, man. Comments.
You're like Mike Jones right now, giving his number out right now.
Yeah, I'm open for it. It's weird if you call first and not leave me a message, so I don't even know.
Right.
I'll probably reject it.
Let's do a proper briefing first, guys.
Yeah. Hey, introduce yourself.
Hey, man, I'm finna call you right now, man. I love what you're doing, but I'm calling you.
Yeah, let me know. Give me a heads up. I may be doing something with my kids.
Right. I'm at karate practice right now. Yeah. Right? I'll call you back.
Oh, no, don't say karate, jiu-jitsu.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Tell you something, I'm glad too, because I don't want no problems, I know he been grown since the last time I seen him. I don't want none of that. So. Yeah, man. This has been a great episode, man. I really appreciate you coming on. All right, so you know we like to wrap up every episode with a positive quote, man. Something that kind of relates to the show. So today's quote of the day is, anything that costs your peace is too expensive.
That sounds familiar.
I think I stole that off your page, man.
Man.
But with that being said, y'all better go follow my man Mushrooms Off the Brain, man. T is doing some amazing things. Like I said, I definitely stole that quote from him. And I'm going to repeat it one more time for those that didn't hear it. Because maybe it just didn't make sense to you. Anything that costs your peace is too expensive. You can't afford it. Don't buy it. You don't want it. Mm-hmm. Your peace is the most important thing you have, man. Protect it. So with that being said, it's been another episode of the Hot Seat Podcast with hot guests and hot topics. I'm ready for some hot wings or something to eat. Let's get it. Thank you, my man.
Hot chocolate.
Yeah, we get some hot chocolate. You see me in my shirt with jacket? Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, man. Make sure to like, share, and comment. We need all of that. And most importantly, smash that subscribe button, man. We need those follows. We need those subscribers, you know, and thanks for supporting.